Iran's secret plan for summer offensive to force U.S. out of Iraq. Assignment is the Tuesday, May 22, 2007. The Guardian. Iran is secretly forging ties with al-Qaeda elements and Sunni Arab militias in Iraq in preparation for a summer showdown with coalition forces intended to trick the wavering U.S. Congress into voting for full military withdrawal, U.S. officials say. Iran is fighting a proxy war in Iraq, and it's a very dangerous course for them to be following. They are already committing daily acts of war against U.S. and British forces, a senior U.S. official in Baghdad warned. They Iran are behind a lot of high-profile attacks meant to undermine U.S. will and British will, such as the rocket attacks on Basra Palace and the Green Zone in Baghdad. The attacks are directed by the Revolutionary Guard, who are connected right to the top of the Iranian government. The official said, U.S. commanders were bracing for a nationwide, Iranian-orchestrated summer offensive, linking al-Qaeda and Sunni insurgents to Tehran's Shia militia allies, that Iran hoped would trigger a political mutiny in Washington and a U.S. retreat. We expect that al-Qaeda and Iran will both attempt to increase the propaganda and increase the violence prior to Petraeus's report in September, when the U.S. Commander General David Petraeus will report to Congress on President George Bush's controversial 6-month security surge of 30,000 troop reinforcements, the official said. Certainly the violence is going to pick up from their side. There is significant latent capability in Iraq, especially Iranian-sponsored capability. They can turn it up whenever they want. You can see that from the pre-positioning that's been going on and the huge stockpiles of Iranian weapons that we've turned up in the last couple of months. The relationships between Iran and groups like al-Qaeda are very fluid, the official said. It often comes down to individuals, and people constantly move around. For instance, the Sunni Arab so-called resistance groups use Salafi jihadist ideology for their own purposes. But the whole Iran, al-Qaeda link-up is very sinister. Iran has maintained close links to Iraq's Shiite political parties and militias, but has previously eschewed collaboration with al-Qaeda and Sunni insurgents. U.S. officials now say they have firm evidence that Tehran has switched tack, as it senses a chance of victory in Iraq. In a parallel development, they say they also have proof that Iran has reversed its previous policy in Afghanistan and is now supporting and supplying the Taliban's campaign against U.S., British, and other NATO forces. Tehran's strategy to discredit the U.S. surge and foment a decisive congressional revolt against Mr. Bush is national in scope and not confined to the Shia South, its traditional sphere of influence, the senior official in Baghdad said. It included stepped-up coordination with Shia militias such as Muqtada al-Sadra's Jaish al-Mahdi, as well as Syrian-backed Sunni Arab groups and al-Qaeda in Mesopotamia, he added. Iran was also expanding contacts across the board with paramilitary forces and political groups, including Kurdish parties such as the PUK, a U.S. ally. Their strategy takes into account all these various parties. Iran is playing all these different factions to maximize its future control and maximize U.S. and British difficulties. Their co-conspirator is Syria, which is allowing the Takfirist fundamentalist Salafi jihadists to come across the border, the official said. Any U.S. decision to retaliate against Iran on its own territory could be taken only at the highest political level in Washington, the official said. But he indicated that American patience was wearing thin, warning that the U.S. was absolutely determined to hit back hard wherever it was challenged by Iranian proxies or agents inside Iraq. He cited the case of 5 alleged members of the Revolutionary Guard's al-Quds force detained in Erbil in January. Despite strenuous protests from Tehran, which claims the men are diplomats, they have still not been released. Tehran is behaving like a racecourse gambler. They're betting on all the horses in the race, even on people they fundamentally don't trust, a senior administration official in Washington said. Iran is perpetuating the cycle of sectarian violence through support for extrajudicial killing and murder cells. They bring Iraqi militia members and insurgent groups into Iran for training, and then help infiltrate them back into the country. We have plenty of evidence from a variety of sources. There's no argument about that. That's just a fact, the senior official in Baghdad said. In trying to force an American retreat, Iran's hardline leadership also hoped to bring about a humiliating political and diplomatic defeat for the U.S. that would reduce Washington's regional influence while increasing Tehran's own. But if Iran succeeded in prematurely driving U.S. and British forces out of Iraq, the likely result would be a colossal humanitarian disaster and possible regional war drawing in the Sunni Arab Gulf states, Syria, and Turkey, he said. Despite such concerns, or because of them, the U.S. welcomed the chance to talk to Iran, the senior administration official said. Our agenda starts with force protection in Iraq, he said. Washington analysts and commentators predict that Jen Petraeus's report to the White House and Congress in early September will be a pivotal moment in the history of the 4.5-year war, and a decision to begin a troop drawdown or continue with the surge policy will hinge on the outcome. Most Democrats and many Republicans in Congress believe Iraq is in the grip of a civil war, and that there is little that a continuing military presence can achieve. Political will has already failed. It's over, a former Bush administration official said. A senior advisor to Jen Petraeus reported this month that the surge had reduced violence, especially sectarian killings, in the Baghdad area and Sunni-dominated Amber province. But the advisor admitted that much of the trouble had merely moved elsewhere, resulting in spikes of activity in Diyala, to the north, and some areas to the south of the capital. Overall violence is at about the same level as when the surge began in February. Iranian officials flatly deny U.S. and British allegations of involvement in internal violence in Iraq, or in attacks on coalition forces. Interviewed in Tehran recently, Mohammad Reza Bagheri, Deputy Foreign Minister for Arab Affairs with primary responsibility for Iran's policy in Iraq, said, "We believe it would be to the benefit of both the occupiers and the Iraqi people that the coalition forces withdraw immediately."